I don't have a story like my previous two speakers. I do have to say that I've also been married 20 years, and I don't need my wife to be a neuroscientist for her to tell me what to do. Right? And on the way up here, I was thinking, should I be doing left, right? You know, should I decide on being, intelligent or maybe good looking? Such a difficult decision to make. And towards my topic today, maybe I should just ask AI to decide for me. Okay, my name is Jason. As the intro said, I look after ASEAN for Rapid7. And my topic today is about trying to manage from being overwhelmed to in command. So specifically, I'm not specifically around how we can have a prime and AI-assisted defense in modern security operations. So first off, let me congratulate the Filipinos, right? AI adoption by organizations, you guys off the charts, right? 86% of Filipino knowledge workers use AI at work. That's higher than the global average of 75, better than the regional average of 83. 89% of Filipino leaders believe their company needs to adopt AI to stay competitive. However, only 22% of Philippine companies feel ready to adopt AI. Security is still the most significant barrier to AI adoption, and rightly so. Why? There are still security risks associated with AI. We see all of that in the media every single day. All the different breaches and articles and all the different ways that people are misusing it. So the recent IBM survey, 1 in 5 organizations have reported a breach due to shadow AI. 64% of organizations either have no AI governance policy or are still in the midst of developing one. Worse off, and this is something that can be so easily corrected, the vast majority of organizations that reported a breach involving an AI model basically lack proper access controls. Something that we can fix, right? AI development, large language models is becoming so prevalent that even OWASP has released the top 10 security controls for that. So how can we move on? We know there's one of the existing problems today, especially from the area that we focus on, detection and response, is that we're overwhelmed. There's analyst fatigue and threats. Why? Thousands of alerts are coming in every day. We increase the amount of telemetry that we want to see, but it also means we need more people to understand what's that. And a lot of the telemetry that we're having can lead to false positives or low fidelity type alerts. That noise obscures the real threats, slowing the detection and response. Now we know that threat actors can leveraging AI already, and they can automate their attacks and easily exceed what our human response analysts can do. So really my topic today, and I hope when we walk out of the room, it's really about understanding how do we move from this feeling of being overwhelmed to take back some of that control. I'll cover basically 3 things today, right? 3 gaps. And I'll start off with the exploding attack surface. Now, we all know that the attack surface has grown tremendously, right? We've increased in endpoints, we've got cloud deployments, we are leveraging SaaS, we've got third-party systems that we connect to. All of that can now be part of your attack surface. Bottom line, you can't protect what you can't see. Some worrying stats here. 17% of organizations, only 70%, can clearly identify a majority of their assets. Why? Because it's distributed all over the place now. 76% of organizations have experienced a cyber attack due to an unmanaged asset. If your asset is unknown to you, it is a risk that you haven't taken care of. You've unaddressed risk. We don't want our analysts to be doing swivel chairing. We don't want them searching blindly for different kinds of context. So we need to give them that context for them to be able to do their job more effectively. We also know that the expanding attack surface has increased the kind of exposures that we have. Initial attack vectors. Some of them we know very well. In Q1 of this year, so Rapid7's own incident response team has responded to a number of cases. What have we found? Valid accounts without MFA. 56% of those were responsible for the initial attack vector. That should be a no-brainer. Multi-factor authentication is something that we've talked about for years. We should be implementing that everywhere now. Vulnerability exploitation, still a high number. We are chasing vulnerabilities. Every piece of code, every piece of device still is subject to vulnerabilities, and we're chasing the patch cycle. And the list goes on, right? We also see one worrying statistic, that zero-day vulnerabilities are being exploited before the patch release. In many cases, same-day exploitation. So we're not catching that fast enough. And the other statistics that we also see is that we know that most of us have implemented security controls like EDR and other various detection technologies. So the attackers are moving to the perimeter. So an increase in things like routers, firewalls, we've seen that happen, more vulnerabilities and more exploitation on the perimeter. Let me move to the second challenge, the SOC, right? The Security Operations Center, traditionally where we have collected all that telemetry, hoping to correlate, hoping to identify, hoping to respond faster. The reality is, all those security teams are strapped for time, strapped for capability, strapped for resources. And if you're still operating processes that you have developed over years, majority of them could be manual, and you haven't had a chance to actually optimize that. Alert volumes, I mentioned before, all the overwhelming tonnage of alerts that are coming in doesn't help the situation better. The attackers are also changing. Ransomware continues to be a huge, huge problem. We also know that threat actors are now leveraging AI. They can do phishing campaigns, they can do code development. This AI-assisted portion of threat actors, it's a financially lucrative thing for them. As long as they are still making money of it, it will continue to drive innovation and activity from these threat actors. Use of AI in such areas as code improvement, they've got their own chatbots, ransomware as a service, they can do all these different kinds of phishing campaigns. It's such a low barrier to entry for them. And what we have also is evidence of more and more ransomware groups differentiating themselves, becoming initial access brokers. They've also started to develop and sell their own zero-day exploits. Bottom line, it makes monetary sense for them to do this, so we don't see any decrease in this activity. In fact, they're going to get more and more sophisticated. So we have lots of data around this. That's not the basis of my presentation today. We need to think about how do we improve and defend against this. So here is the SOC context problem, which I'm going to cover next. We need more visibility. We need to understand where those gaps are, and we need to give our people the ability to respond. These gaps, we all know, some of our tooling can be great. They can give us the alerts, but if no one is there to respond to them, it's still going to be missed. We have blind spots in the kind of environments that we create, whether it's hybrid or some of our infrastructure in the cloud. We don't give full context around the user and the various identities and the other assets that they are connected with. End of the day, what we need to make sure is that we've given them enough enrichment, enough context so that they can take an action. So that comes to some of the methods that we see that are used to bypass endpoint defenses. Social engineering still continues to be one of those key areas. One of the previous speakers talked about how we can train muscle memory for the brain. I agree, absolutely, because people are still a weakling in the defense. The only caveat I would say is that we can train our people well, but the volume, the sheer volume of those things which are coming at us every single day will definitely cause us to miss something. And we have all the other things that I mentioned above. I'll come to the part about AI now, which is, I'm sure throughout the course of today, you're going to hear many speakers talk about artificial intelligence, how it applies, how is it going to change how the way you work, and how is it going to improve your processes, right? I absolutely believe that AI is fundamental to what we do in the future. I still think that we are in the process of understanding where AI can help us better. Okay, quick exercise, right? Who's tried to write a prompt in any of the AI systems, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude? Anybody got your prompt and got your result absolutely right the first time? You get a result, you go back in, you might have to refine it a little bit, and then you reiterate until you get something reasonable, right? Whether you want to do a report or a picture, I doubt that anybody gets it right the first time. And that's about training, and that's the training model the information that we provide to it. The human context is still very important. If we give AI too much leeway, there are certain things that might result from that. Oversensitive AI, waste time on benign events. Again, I'm speaking from the SOC context. We can have AI without the right context that makes poor security decisions. And we don't ever want to give AI full autonomy. Yes, agentic and autonomous workflows are there. Again, they need to assist the human. So we come from a perspective that the human oversight is still incredibly important. So let me just say that for threat exposure, we think the MDR piece, the managed detection and response, is the last line still. So we have all the different tooling in place. We have our MDR capability for SOC, basically, for organizations. As an industry, I think we need to do better to move the left of boom. So this might be a common kind of phrasing that you've heard of. When the incident happens, it's already too late. We're in a reactive mode. How do we shift left so that we can become more proactive in how we deliver our security outcomes? So let me just conclude with a couple of slides. How do we move from this perspective of being overwhelmed? So much going on, so many alerts, so many different threat actors, different sophistication techniques. We need to take back some of that command capability. So I re-emphasize again what we mentioned before. Context is critical. You can't protect what you can't see. Most organizations have a proliferation of many different security tools. You're getting information from everywhere. How do you contextualize all of that? How do you pull all of that information into a single pane of glass? How do you make sure that the context that you need to provide to your users is important? That will allow the SOC to scale and allow it to investigate quicker, faster. On the part of AI, Rapid7 has been on the forefront of development for this. Rapid7 AI engine is trained on 20 years of our own proprietary data. And again, I invite you to come to our booth to talk more about it, because everything from threat intelligence to the vulnerability information that we have to our incident responders, we have a whole host of different things that allow us to train our AI models. Bottom line is allow us to do things faster, create workflows, create capabilities for our SOC to be able to attend to those situations quicker and faster and more accurately. And on the other side of the screen, you see something that's also very critical. More organizations are developing their own AI models. As part of that, you need to put the right kind of frameworks and security controls in place. Treat your AI model just like any other application. Make sure that you test it. Make sure that you have secured it. Rapid7 is patient zero for ourselves. We use all our technology for our own organization. And so we are able to collect those statistics of how we have improved. And this capability is something that we can share out with the industry. We save many analyst hours of our team. We increase their accuracy when they do alert triaging. This is all with the training of the AI models that we've put in. Agentic AI, again, fantastic, because we want to put more of that workflow, more of those capabilities, much more of the grunt work to the AI model to do, but with human oversight. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we make the right decision. The outcome that we want, faster SOC investigations, more accurate, make sure that we are investigating the right areas, the right cases, so that we can protect the organization better. So summarize my presentation with the following three things. I mentioned the three concerns. We know what the challenge is. We know how we're overwhelmed by the volume. We know our analyst capacity is limited. We know that there are blind spots in our modern organization. So we need their context. We know the solution actually. We know how we can get AI to drive better defense. We need to enrich our telemetry. We need to give our analysts better access into how they do searching, context creation, writing the workflows. However, we want it to be AI-powered, not completely autonomous, because the human element is still needed in the loop to make the right decision. Hopefully, that will give us the outcome that we want. We call it being in command, but effectively it means we reduce the noise, we get full visibility of the environment, we make sure that the analysts are reserved for doing high-value, high-profile investigation work rather than being bogged down with just alert triaging. I invite everybody to join us at the booth outside. Again, I've covered a small portion of what the Rapid7 portfolio does. Happy to carry on this conversation with anybody in the hall. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Sir Jason. May I ask you a question?
Of course.
Aside from everything that you've mentioned through your presentation, is there something, another takeaway that you would like for everyone here to know about so that we can be able to better defend ourselves from attacks when AI is being used?
I think that's an interesting question, very nuanced. As defenders are using more and more AI in the tools that we have to defend the organization, a similar thing is happening on the offensive side, right? So we know threat actors are using more and more AI. So what are things that we can do for ourselves? Of course, be vigilant. I think some of my speakers before that also mentioned about how the human also is in the loop, needs to be trained muscle memory. We need to invest in the right tools. We need to make sure that with the right tools, we also take the right outcomes, right? So it's no use getting a tool that tells us something and we don't take an outcome or action on it. And that's one of the main takeaways from my presentation, which is how do we get it done faster? How do we get it done more accurately?
And to know more about the tools, we have the booths outside and on the fourth floor also, so you can take a look and know about the tools. And here is the visual evaluation for Sir Jason. Let's take a look. Okay, it says the human context is still very important. 86% of Filipinos use AI at work, but we should not be just reactive. We have to be more proactive. And that's why we need the tools. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Jason Heng.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time, everybody.